Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we're going to be looking at what the Gold and Silver Virtual Console bring to the modern Pokemon games. And first off, we're going to be starting with Hidden Abilities. Now, I know everyone's just like, whoa, Entei, Suicune, Raikou, these guys are going to get their Hidden Abilities. But before we talk about them, we do need to talk about Lugia and Ho-Oh, because this is the first time that they have received their Hidden Ability in years. Even with the recent Ho-Oh event distribution, that was just pressure. That was regular Ho-Oh, so unless you were playing back in the Dream Radar, and only if you played the Dream Radar, that was like when you had the opportunity of getting the Hidden Abilities. Also, you needed Heart Gold and Soul Silver to function with the Dream Radar, so it was a pretty exclusive thing to have the legendary second generation Pokemon with their Hidden Abilities. But now we just get it for free pretty much, and it's going to be interesting to see how this breaks down as we get the Poke Transporter. Now, some people might say it's not absolutely confirmed we're getting all the Hidden Abilities because of the Poke Transporter, but I feel like Game Freak, they just can't. They cannot not have Hidden Abilities, because then that means Fisherman Champ becomes a thing, and there's a couple of other weird ones that I don't think we need running around Pokemon. So it seems like because of the way the first generation worked, it would just be consistent to keep it the same for the second generation. And much like the Dream Radar, this is the perfect way of getting the Hidden Abilities through natural causes. And then also, like, why would they change the Hidden Abilities for Entei, Raikou, and Suicune? As you can see right here, it was Flash Fire, it was Water Absorb, it was Volt Absorb, but then in Generation 7, they changed it to Inner Focus, which kind of gave us the hint, or maybe it was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you know, it was the hint like, yo, are the legendary dogs, are they getting their Hidden Abilities soon? So it seems like the perfect, most natural way of releasing it is when we get the update to the Virtual Console for the Poke Transporter, when we get Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, what about Lugia and Ho-Oh with Multiscale? I don't think a lot of people have much experience with it because of their rarity, and now it's going to be pretty much everyone gets it. They get solid IVs with it as well. They can maybe train it in Gold and Silver version and then hyper train if they need to. Like, everything kind of lines up really well for getting this. Well, Multiscale Lugia, pretty much unkillable on that first hit, because Lugia is such a tanky Pokemon. Like, you think Multiscale Dragonite is hard to kill with a 4x move? Nah, Lugia is even tankier than that, and also doesn't have any 4x weakness, so Multiscale Lugia is very necessary for, like, the peak of competitive Lugia play, and that can just be like a frustrating tank Pokemon, does a lot. Now, I've done a moveset guide for every single competitive Pokemon, including legendaries, and what you want to do with Lugia is you got that Calm Mind, and you can do some pretty nasty stuff with it. You know, Calm Mind, you can go for the Roost as well, that way you get a little bit of healing, and then like Size Shock and a coverage move of your choice. Some people, they can go with the Aeroblast, chance to crit, high amounts of damage as well. Some people, they kind of diversify on the coverage, like Size Shock, Ice Beam, or something like that. Overall, you're going to get a lot of damage, and then absurd tankiness while maxing out your hit points and defensive stats. And it does get to the point where if they are not doing 50% of your health, you can just roost it off. And also, as a legendary, you have a very high natural speed, which means you can also run like some Choice Specs Lugia action if you want it. Just be a very bulky Pokemon trying to multiply that damage as much as possible. That works as well, but you're going to be outspeeding most Pokemon, and because of that, if they don't do 50%, you roost up, Multiscale refreshes, and then your opponent's gonna have a pretty hard time. So an incredibly frustrating Pokemon to deal with, and one of the big reasons why we didn't see a lot of Lugia in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire format where legendaries were allowed is because we did not have that Multiscale ability to be able to be used, since that is a 5th generation ability and it was not 6th generation updated. Ho-Oh is a fairly tanky Pokemon as well, even though it doesn't have the defensive stats as Lugia. I mean, 106 hit points, 90 on defense is still very good with a very high amount of special defense. Also, it combos with Sacred Fire incredibly well. Sacred Fire, very high chance, I think it's 50% chance to burn the target, which is pretty broken right there. So they get burned, they lose half their physical attack, and then Ho-Oh just gets to do some nastiness. With this, you can hit and run really well on the Ho-Oh. Some people, they also opt in to go for like a Flame Charge. You Flame Charge, have that bulk, you get that speed over them, and now you just have priority for whatever you want to do to your opponent. So that's pretty solid right there, and then you do just have like a lot of really good fire coverage to back up with the Ho-Oh. Yeah, Regenerator, it means you just kind of switch out and then you come back in. It's like, oh, that attack that was going to kill me, now it doesn't. Ho-Oh, though, being a fire flying type, does still have a lot to worry about with the Stealth Rocks. So I think it's just kind of like, yeah, standard moveset stuff. We don't really add too much, but now it's going to be more common. Now it's going to be actually something that people have access to, which is pretty cool. And also, all of these Pokemon can be obtained shiny, so the opportunity of having a shiny hidden ability is now there as well. Looking at the Entei, so this is kind of all going to lump together like Entei, Suicune, Raikou, and because of that, I'm just going to go and hop on over into Pokemon Showdown, and mostly because I just like the way it looks. You know, I'm used to doing this for competitive breakdown. I'm not really going to do like a live moveset here because it's everything we know about Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, except they can't get flinched. So depending on double battles, this actually might be a lot more useful. That Raikou could be really good for anti-fake out. It's like, oh, you can't fake out the Raikou, and it also has a pretty high amount of special attack and speed, which means that it can get a pretty free turn in the event of something like a flinch. Also with Suicune getting an interesting personal buff against me. I love running Togekiss, and I have won many battles by just flinch locking out a Suicune because it's going to be slow. It's going to want to like do so like that Crocoon crazy calm mind rest stalling and whatever. And if I can do enough damage before it wakes up, and I can get enough damage in with the air slash before it can either calm mind, it gets flinched before it can calm mind, or it gets flinched before it has another opportunity to heal up again. I've actually won quite a few battles just by shutting down a Suicune. You know, doing a big hit with one of my Pokemon, having that Pokemon go down, and then just Togekiss needing 1 or 2 flinches to lock out the Suicune from anything. So the inner focus means that Suicune, the already incredible defensive tank, gets even more reliable. Also, one thing I've been talking about but I haven't addressed directly is that these Pokemon are now readily available. It's not like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. We have to soft reset, we have to beat the game, we have to do the little mini game with Hoopa's rings and stuff. We just, you know, we beat the game. I guess it is a mini game trying to hunt these Pokemon down, but overall, we have a modern variant of these Pokemon. We catch, we transport, and then we have them ready for competitive usage, and we can maybe even get the natures right if the Transporter works just like in Gen 1, that the experience remainder is what determines a Pokemon nature, or if there's a way of controlling the nature as well, that could be very nice, and also it's an ability, so it's just going to be better than the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire ones. And for the most part, I don't think I've seen anyone run all 3 on the same team. Maybe Raikou, Suicune on the same team or something like that. Maybe an Entei just here and there. So what you can do is just use your Master Ball on the Suicune if you don't want to worry about the shenanigans. Boom, you got Suicune good to go. And also because we technically have a dupe glitch, that means multiple Master Balls, that means multiple legendaries. It's just one of the side effects of having Gen 2 Virtual Console in its raw, purely launch state. So that's something that is also a factor in this, and the Pokemon Company allowed it in. They might allow it for transfer, and they haven't made any statements against it, so that's one of those gray areas that's going to get pretty interesting as there's going to be a flood of all these Pokemon. Also devaluing the shiny market, because technically it only takes one Pokemon, or one person to catch one of the shiny Suicune, and then dupe it into oblivions. And then another thing is that if you can dupe Pokemon, then that means you also have all of the natures for that Pokemon, since it's determined on transfer and not on capture inside of the Gen 2 Pokemon games. So things to consider. Again, I don't see many changes, just like, oh, quality of life improvement. Now, remember that game when you were running Entei and you got flinched out? That's not going to happen again. So yeah, you get like a, what is it, maybe a 1.5% higher win rate just by running Pokemon like this. Every little bit matters in Pokemon. Another thing, kind of going back to quality of life improvements, and on the same regard as Lugia Ho-Oh, we now have the starters with their hidden abilities as well. We get Meganium, Typhlosion, Feraligatr. Instead of having to do an obscure event from a long time ago, boom, straight up, you just take the Pokemon you had through your adventure, you transfer it, and you're good to go. Now we can breed if we want natures. Now we can do all kinds of fun stuff. Leaf Guard Meganium, unfortunately, it's garbage. Typhlosion Flash Fire has a lot of potential, you know? You can run it with, like, if you have a Pokemon on your team that's weak against fire, Flash Fire Pokemon are a very powerful option, and then you can just bring in Typhlosion, and now your Eruption does absurd amounts of damage with the Choice Scarf. And Feraligator's a weird one. Feraligator seemed like it was going to be the most useful out of this, because, my goodness, it gets Dragon Dance as an egg move, and it gets stab contact moves like the Waterfall, so that means it's getting Sheer Force Waterfall boosted damage, while also having good amounts of speed and higher amounts of attack, but Feraligator just never took off, which is really weird to think about. Then also has a couple of other things that I can keep running, you know, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw. If it wants to find the coverage, I mean, it's there. The Ice Punch. Yeah, we can get that through transfer. Pretty much the biggest thing about the hidden abilities, not like, oh man, I'm going to take my hidden ability Pokemon and transfer it over and start using it competitively, is that now you can add it to your breeding bank if you've been completely unable to obtain one for yourself, even though it's been around for years. You know, you might not be active in the trading community, you just might be more of a solo player, or you might be new to Pokemon, and you just can't find anyone that has the time to give up one of their Hidden Ability Starter Johto Pokemon that you're looking for. So that's a pretty nice improvement. And then as for the TMs are pretty much like, a lot of them became move tutors, so there's not like a wide variety of TMs that give us something that we don't have in the modern Pokemon games, at least with Gen 2. Gen 1 gave us a lot of interesting things, but Gen 2 kind of dialed it back on that. However, we do have Curse, and Curse is one that I'm still trying to figure out, because, yeah, that's a lot of Pokemon that already get access to the Curse. Like, the way that you look at it, it almost feels like Power-Up Punch. That Power-Up Punch, so many Pokemon got it, but now very few Pokemon retain the ability to get it in the 7th generation. And if it doesn't come back as a move tutor, that's going to be very, very strange. But yeah, we had none of them as egg moves in Gen 2, but then in Gen 3, that's when, like, the egg move gate opened up, because in Gen 2, every Pokemon that can learn TMs can learn Curse. So that means pretty much all Generation 1 and 2 Pokemon have access to the Curse now for an updated 7th generation mark. That I haven't even, like I said, I haven't even gone through. There might even be an opportunity to do like the top 10 best Curse Pokemon from the Gold and Silver Virtual Console, because Curse is a very powerful move that you gain +1 to your attack and your defense, and we've kind of forgotten over the years like which Pokemon have had access to it and just lost it. So I wonder if that's actually going to factor into competitive play as we go into Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Another one is Endure. Now Endure is a weird one as well. It's come back as a TM in 2nd generation, 4th generation, and then 3rd generation it was a tutor for pretty much all existing Pokemon. So now this means that instead of having to go back to Emerald and do a long transfer chain, Pokemon that are in Gen 1 and 2, they have access to the Endure. And there's like a lot of really cool Endure strategies. I feel like I've done quite a few of them in my older Pokemon guides. So at least the first 2 generations, yeah, if there's like an Endure Salac Berry, Endure Berry strategy that you want to pull off, well, now you have access to it. And that's kind of cool. Like Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee, what you want to do is you want to go Endure, that way it procs the Unburden, and then you go into a Lychee Berry, so you get +1 attack, double speed, and then you're at 1 hit point, so priority wrecks you, but if you outspeed everything, you just kill anything on a reversal. Now, Hitmonlee does get that through level up, but that's kind of the example of what you can have with other Pokemon that didn't have access to the Endure until now, or through a long chain of transfers. So pretty much now there's going to be Pokemon that have had these Endure strats for a while, but you're just going to see them more often because it isn't a long transfer chain anymore. It's just 2nd generation, transfer it, done, and now choosable competitively. So there we go, guys. I think that's pretty much everything that's going on with the new Pokemon games through transfer. If I forgot anything, leave it down below. I might do a follow-up video. And also, I do think it's kind of interesting to look into like the top 10 best cursed Endure Pokemon because of Heart Gold, or not Heart Gold, because of Gold Silver Virtual Console. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.